Shane Warne. There goes, this will be out, surely. Ah, it's out. It's going to be one out. Oh, that's it. South Africa out. Goal didn't run. I cannot believe it. Australia going.
In sport, as in life, there are delicious parallels.
Tommy Bowman, 7 metres out. What an offload!
A World Cup year in both cricket and rugby, and a chance maybe for Australia to hold them both. And maybe a Tri-Nations trophy into the bargain.
He got it!
To do this, though, the Wallabies will have to beat the current Tri-Nations and world champions. And to hold the Wallabies, the champions need to believe in themselves.
Marshall, a big sprint for the line.
One thing both sides do know is that nothing that means anything is easy to come by. And that goes double for World Cups.
The world champion Springboks are in Brisbane town to face the Wallabies in the second Tri-Nations matchup for 1999, all part of the Ford Australia Test Series. And for the 4th year in a row, Suncorp Stadium hosts a rugby international. A very big crowd expected, and the majority hoping for a repeat of Australia's splendid victory over South Africa here under Greg Smith in 1997. Well, good evening to you. It certainly is a very big night for Australian rugby. The Wallabies looking for their 10th straight Test victory. The Springboks, on the other hand, trying to arrest a 2-match losing streak. Wales 3 weeks ago and the All Blacks last weekend. Joining me is the winning World Cup captain from 1991, Nick Barr-Jones. Nick, what are your impressions of Suncorp, your first time here?
Yeah, well, it's great, Gordon. Of course, I've seen it on TV quite a few times. I've heard a lot about the atmosphere, but it's great to experience the first time. And importantly, Gordon, the track is firm, great conditions here in Brisbane.
Now, the Wallabies confident, but the Springboks under siege.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, the Wallabies should be composed. They've had plenty of time to rest and to prepare for this. And amazingly, South Africa, having had 2 losses, they're not used to that. They had a 17-match winning streak, so they would have lost a little bit of confidence. You look at the team that won those 17 matches, it doesn't resemble the team tonight. They've got some key players out, and they've been travelling the world. They're on different time zones. So if Australia's got a great chance, not just to win, but to put a good margin on the South Africans, it's tonight.
Well, Simon Poitevin, your old teammate, played 59 Test matches for Australia, the last in the World Cup final in 1991. Simon, changes to the Springbok team. What approach are you expecting from them? Will they move it?
It'll be a power game from the Springboks tonight. The 2 halves, very experienced. They have picked 3 front rowers on the bench, which does indicate they really try and work the Australian scrum. And Muller in the centres is a very, very hard-running, tough centre. That's a player close, pick up and drive, and the Australians will have a lot of technique to do in close.
Well, the Wallabies arrived in good fettle. They've been at base camp at Caloundra on the Sunshine Coast, Norm Proven's Oasis Resort, and all eyes on Matthew Burke tonight. But David Wilson also equaling John Hill's record for caps for a forward.
Yeah, no, that's great. And there's Tian Strauss, of course, a huge game for him tonight. He's a former South African player, and of course a captain. Phil Kearns, the hooker, but they'll be comfortable and relaxed, I think, the Australians.
And Simon, how did those Springboks look down on the touchline?
They look amazingly relaxed, actually, as Gary Teichmann, the injured captain, he's been talking about him throwing the ball around during the week. I don't think so. He's talking there to Rassie Erasmus, the new South African captain, who's a very good player.
Well, let's have a look at the match record, Simon, and we see that the South Africans are certainly in the ascendancy. In fact, they've won the last 3 matches against the Wallabies.
Yeah, Rod McQueen is incredibly focused to try and reverse that trend tonight here at Suncorp.
Okay, let's now go up, and over to Chris Handy. I think he's on top of the world at the moment. In an aeronautical sense, you must be feeling a bit like a human blimp, Chris.
Good, and I think they couldn't get the Goodyear blimp, so they found the next biggest thing. High atop of the stadium that is likely the red-hot favourite to be the Super Stadium in Brisbane, Lang Park, and place of some of the great State of Origin triumphs for Queensland tonight again for the Wallabies, hopefully. But it's a good place, Simon, and good.
I I'm glad you're not packing in a scrum up there. But what about the Springboks scrum? It's the benchmark for Australia tonight.
Yeah, I think it was the positive that they got out of last week's game against the All Blacks. They'll be keen again to take on the Wallabies there in the front row. And if they can pressure the scrum, they'll put pressure on Tim Horan also.
Well, good luck for the parachute jump back down. We're live from Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane for this heavyweight bout between the winners of the last 2 World Cups. And after the break, we visit the dressing rooms and chat with John Eales.
I think any coach, you've had a couple of losses. People start saying, he's the guy at the top. What's he doing about it? So, but it comes with the territory. I had a very good start to my coaching career, which luckily I've lasted 17 consecutive games. And I know that I can do the job, so pressure really doesn't get to me that badly. I hope it doesn't affect my family at home, but I can take it. We're in a cycle of change that I think we probably peaked in the Tri-Nations last year. That team that done so well in '97, taken us through the Tri-Nations unbeaten, with quite a bit of luck. Let's be honest about it, especially in Perth, in Durban, coming back from 23 points to 5 down against the All Blacks, and we won it. Even in Wellington against the All Blacks, there was nothing in that game. We took our one chance, and Spencer missed a number of penalty kicks. So there was a reasonable amount of luck in our winning the Tri-Nations, and I think that team really peaked then. Now it's a process of trying to get a new team and build that team up to be competitive in the World Cup.
Yeah, he's one of the smartest coaches in the international game. He won't be down for long. The South African dressing room, Nick Farr-Jones.
Yeah, these guys, I'm sure they're looking forward to getting home. I mean, Wales was a tough time for them, a tough assignment. New Zealand would have been particularly hard down in Dunedin. That record loss, under a lot of pressure from back home. But these guys, they look composed. They know they've got a big match, and then they get home and prepare for their home matches.
Now, what about butterflies in the tummy for this guy?
Yeah, look, there's no doubt about that. He'd be delighted to be back, Matt Burke. I mean, when you're injured, you're just sort of itching. This guy too. I mean, Tian Strauss, many times he pulled on the Springbok jersey, captained them, to some great victories as well. So it's a huge match for him. Dan Crowley, what a match for him too, up against Osteront.
And there's John Mackay, the manager of the Australian team. Let's have a look at the 2 lineups then, Nick. Firstly, the Australians, and very strong forward pack. Very stable in that regard, and Dan Crowley starting tonight.
Yeah, look, that's a huge assignment for this pack. South Africa, as Chris and Simon have said, will look to take on, the Australians through the forward pack, and they're a big assignment for them.
Where will they aim for in the back line, do you think, this Aussie back line?
Oh, look, I would have thought that they'd probably aim for Tim Horan. I mean, everyone thinks of Tim as being a great defender. He is, but, where else do you look at? I don't think they'll go too wide from the forward packs, and so I think they'll go for, in close through Timmy Horan, big guys running at him to get across the gain line.
Springbok lineup, 7 changes from last week, and Erasmus coming in to lead the side.
Yeah, look, they'll be fired up. I mean, I've read comments about him just hanging his jersey up, the green jersey, the Springbok. He'll really try and fire these guys up. They've lost some key players, just as the Australians had through injury, but that gives other guys a great opportunity now in this Tri-Nation series to push for a lead role, coming the World Cup later in the year.
New halves in Swanepoel and Van Straten. Robbie Fleck coming into the 3-quarter line.
Yeah, look, they're one of the great defending nations. They're probably the greatest defending nation in the last couple of years. They brought in a bit of firepower early on, and that's in close.
Well, the Aussies have done it without their great lock in 1999, John Eales. He's been out with that rotator cuff injury, but Simon Poitevin has managed to lasso the big man. Simon.
Ealesy, can the Wallabies scrum handle these Springboks?
Yeah, I'm sure they can, Simon. They've had the scrum doctor, Cameron Lillicrap, working with them this week, putting in a lot of work with Krause, Jeremy and Patricio. So they've done a lot of work, and I think they'll go well tonight.
Gary Tysman said they should throw the ball around. How do you think they'll play the game?
I'm sure that they'll try to take it up in the forwards and try to get the advantage on Australia in the forwards, and then maybe throw around. But I don't expect too much of that from the South Africans. But from the Australians, I think we might see a bit of that.
Thanks, John. See you later on.
Thanks, Simon.
Well, John Williamson in great voice here with True Blue, which is the official song of the Aussie cricketers who won the World Cup. A fabulous performance. South Africa's last victory, or last loss for the Wallabies, was against South Africa here at Suncorp. We'll be back after these important messages. Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane, the fireworks spectacular. The Wallabies' 1999 Tri-Nations debut here tonight against the world champion Springboks, and it's going to be a fabulous atmosphere. Well, the big news tonight for the Aussies is that Matthew Burke is back, our maestro in the number 15 jumper. His first test since August last year, and that is definitely music to Wallaby ears.
He soars through the air with the greatest of ease, can lift tall opponents with a single heave. He floats like a butterfly, and he stings like a bee. Matthew Burke is the quintessential rugby athlete. Strong, fast, skillful, and explosive. But on August 29 last year, before our very eyes, his world of rugby literally came tumbling down.
As I saw Matthew Burke take that ball and dive over that try line, I could see that arm was moving into a position which really wasn't its normal position. And with the weight of his body falling down on top of the arm, it was quite clear that he either fractured the arm or dislocated the arm at the time.
Burke's left shoulder decimated. His active rugby finished for 9 months.
When I first watched it, I literally had to shy away, and it was one of those experiences that you don't want to wish upon anyone.
Well, the primary damage was done in the front aspect of the joint here, where the ligaments all attach. As the shoulder dislocated, it tore the ligaments off bone. As the shoulder relocated, those ligaments were still torn off bone, and to prevent further dislocation, you needed to reattach those ligaments back to the bone.
The long road to full recovery meant patience from Waratah teammates. Burke's enforced absence also opened up a whole new world as a Channel 7 rugby commentator.
It's got its own technicalities, as do football, and I was a little bit out of my depth at some stages there, but at the end of it, I really enjoyed it. And now, I suppose, back on target, enjoying I suppose, I've had a shocker. Sorry, mate. That's not live, is it?
The upsides definitely outweigh such moments. And in Matt's case, he even forged stronger friendships.
No, Nathan Gray said he's my best mate now because I pumped him up after that French test, I think it was, which he did play really well in.
There is something about Melbourne and Matthew Burke. Last year, all 24 points against the All Blacks. And last week, a further 23 against New Zealand A, including 7 straight goals. Burke is back with a World Cup mission to erase the disappointment of 1995.
That really, I suppose, was a motivation for me to stick around for another 4 years to try and do a little bit better. And seeing 1991, the magnificent victory over there at Twickenham just provokes, I think, so much emotion and so much pride in Australia that you've got to do well. We're going to be putting in I think, a big shot to try and get that William Webb Ellis Trophy. Some tough opposition, but I think Australia's going to do pretty well.
Yes, well, the World Cup starts on October 1st. I can hardly hear myself talking at the moment. And, of course, it goes for 5 weeks, and you'll see all of that excitement, emotion and drama on the 7 network, our exclusive coverage on free-to-air of the Rugby World Cup. But during the Ford Australia Test Series, we've been running the 4 famous tries. And the wash-up is that 2 people are going to go over to the World Cup, so watch very carefully. Yes, well, the crowd is thirsting for action here at Suncorp. After the break, Rassie Erasmus will lead out the world champion Springbok side, and then David Wilson's Wallabies. And, of course, the special moments with the anthems. Back shortly. It's a beautiful evening here in Brisbane for this eagerly awaited Tri-Nations opener here in Australia between the Wallabies and the Springboks. The Springbok team to take the field very shortly. Rassie Erasmus. The last 6 captains have been back rowers for the Springboks. Erasmus is the 7th South African captain since their readmission to Test rugby in 1992. And 7 changes to the side that lost to New Zealand at the House of Pain last weekend. Osdurant there. Box at loose head prop. The front row, though, intact from last week. Number 4, Selborne Boom replaces the injured Mark Andrews. Erasmus and Leonard are the new back rowers, new halves as well. And Tablanche and Fleck win spots. 7 changes then overall. 243 caps in the starting lineup for the world champion Springbok team. And the new fly half in the number 10 jumper is Bram van Straten. He's a very big man at nearly 100 kilograms and very good defensively as well. That was a problem area for South Africa last weekend. And number 8, Anton Leonard, comes into the side. Well, there have been some terrible injury problems for South Africa. Corne Krika injured in the test last week, and also Gary Teichmann. So Leonard in for his first test cap, and Kreno Otto there, Simon Poitevin, another very experienced campaigner. He played in all 17 test wins in a row for South Africa.
Kreno Otto had a pretty good game against the All Blacks last week, made a lot of good covering defence out there with Mark Andrews when he was on the field. So expect a lot from him in the line-out tonight. Rod McQueen does expect a fair bit of roughhouse tactics in the line-out tonight.
So David Wilson, you can hear the guys saying, come on, Bommy. David Wilson, his 64th test, equaling John Eales as Australia's most capped forward tonight. Torai Kefu, his back row partner, and with Matty Cobain as well. They've been outstanding for the Wallabies in the past 2 seasons. Brisbane has been a very happy hunting ground for the Australian team. In the 90s, they've lost only 1 test match here, and that was to the All Blacks at Suncorp Stadium in 1996. And a very good crowd in, plenty of Aussie flags, but also a lot of Springbok support as well. So it looks to be pretty close to capacity as we look at this Australian lineup tonight. Very settled forward pack. Crowley starting tonight, unchanged second and back row from the Centenary Test. Also the same back line that faced England 3 weeks ago, except for the number 15, Matthew Burke. So looking at the Aussie side overall, a lot of experience there. 447 test caps in that lineup, 204 more than South Africa. Nick Barr-Jones also in commentary, and he's a guy who really is looking forward to his run on test tonight.
You know, it's great to see him back. Of course, he's had a few starts as a substitute for the Australians, but a great match for the Australian Barbarians against New Zealand in Melbourne. Recently got him this job. Not only his wonderful attacking ability and his wonderful composure under the high ball, but that kicking, which is so important as well.
And we saw the general there, Patricio Noriega. Chris Handy, you're very close to him at the moment. This is the match where he really wants to stamp himself as the Wallaby tight head.
And good, and I think he will. I think he's had that wake-up call, and this is a real concentration effort for him. Otherwise, he will crumble under. This is a big man he's playing against.
Well, his nickname is Pato, which means the great man, as we now prepare ourselves for the anthems. And firstly, our visitors.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand for the national anthems?
Sung by Ebony de Valence. Well, a beautiful rendition here by Ebony de Valence. And now moving in is John Williamson, our famous ballad singer. Advance, always a great moment. It is the national anthems, and John Williamson will be joining the crowd for Waltzing Matilda as well. As we look at the 2 reserve benches, And a lot of talent on that Australian lineup. And look at number 20, Mark Connors, poised to make his test debut tonight. Long overdue, and that will be a huge roar from the crowd for the local Queensland boy. And the South African lineup, well, there's some great talent there as well. As we look at Paddy O'Brien, the referee from Southland in New Zealand, generally acknowledged as one of the very best whistlers in the international game.
Paddy O'Brien will have a busy night tonight. There'll be a lot of combating close and their big men hitting hard. Springboks stung after last week's 28-0 loss against the All Blacks. Tian Strauss will get a run later in that game as well.
So the Wallabies going through their normal pre-game routine as John Williamson, with the vocal manoeuvres, leads Waltzing Matilda. So this is something a little new to get the crowd involved. Nick Farr-Jones?
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's a great thing, you know, especially in such an important year for the Wallabies. Anything that you can do to get the crowd, the Australian people behind this team is important for them. They love support, the Wallabies, and they're going to need it in this long campaign, especially tonight against a hardened Springbok team.
So there's Timmy Horan, his dad Mike Horan, who is the member for Toowoomba South here in Queensland. Nathan Gray, his first run on test in what is really his home state. He plays for New South Wales, but it's a big moment for him, Simon Poiterman.
It certainly is, and what a clash that'll be tonight. Peter Muller and Nathan Gray, two of the hardest guys in world rugby.
So Chris Handy, you're within eyeball contact of the players out there. This is the moment we've been waiting for. The start of Tri-Nations in Australia in '99.
Well, they say seven's the spirit of rugby, Gordon, but for me, it's eyeball to eyeball with these Wallabies as they sing their anthem before the game. The passion is electric, and it's non-verbal eyeball contact.
Well, the two sides first played in Cape Town back in 1933. They've played 11 times since South Africa returned in '92. South Africa has won 6, including the last 3.
Very interesting that the Springboks have got 2 front rowers and a hooker on their reserves bench. They're really playing a power game for the scrum tonight. You'll see a lot of channel 1 ball work by the Aussies out there to break away from that strong Springbok scrum.
Well, there's huge expectation in South Africa as well. Dan Crowley preparing for his big moment on home territory here in Brisbane. So Matthew Burke gets the Tri-Nations underway and goes short. Kepu is there. Venter got it back to Van Straten. And he was brought to ground by Wilson. This is Drotsky into George Gregan. 12 from halfway. Swanepoel quickly onto the outside backs. Robbie Fleck doing quite well there for South Africa as Matthew Burke gets his first touch. And it's a good reply back downfield. So to Blanche again. He plays with the Sharks, one of 2 members of the Natal Sharks in this lineup. Swanepoel out wide now. Again, it's Fleck. In a bit of trouble here, but he straightens beautifully before running into Burke. That was a good test for his shoulder. 12 from halfway. Anton Leonard in his first test match, the only uncut player in the 22-man squad. Well, some terrific ball movement from the Springboks there, but the last pass not going to hand.
Yeah, very good control from the Springboks. Coach Rod McQueen, the Australian coach, noted after observing last week's match, South Africa versus New Zealand, that the tempo was quicker than they'd played against Ireland and England. And you can certainly note here tonight the tempo is quick.
Well, great ball security there from the Springboks. They made 10 knock-ons against the All Blacks last week, so ball security is a main aim of tonight for them to win.
That's David Giffen at the back and pinched there by Venter.
Let it go!
South Africa stealing Australia's line-out ball. This is Van Straten taking on Australia in close. Dan Crowley, the tackler. Peter Muller, who was under an injury cloud. Robbie Fleck again. Matthew Burke inside his quarter. That's an excellent kick by Fleck. Just 15 metres out from the Australian goal line. There's a real urgency about South Africa's play tonight.
What a super line-out forward Andre Venter is. Really got up high with that ball. Was extraordinarily good against the All Blacks last week as well. Wallabies will need to watch him.
Selborne Boom, number 4, jumping at the front.
Australia now looking to pinch South Africa's ball, but no joy. This is a very good attacking platform for the visitors. Osdurant coming in. Some fierce rucking there. Drotsky taken by Cobain. It's 8 metres out from the Wallaby goal line. It's been all South Africa in the opening minutes. Erasmus puts his head down. Plenty of communication in the Wallaby defence at the moment. Swanepoel, Crowley the tackler in close. Otto now, supported by Fenter. Muller goes in. This is Fleck. He's unpredictable. Loose pass. And finally the crack appears from the team in possession.
Again, very good control from South Africa, but what they have to try and do is engage more Australian forwards. Time and time again, as the ball emerged at that ruck ball, they were outnumbered by Australian defenders. They've got to engage more Australian defenders, maybe look to create 1 or 2 rolling mauls.
See a slight weight advantage there to the Springboks, but this is the major test for the Australians.
So the Australian scrum popping that time. Big shunt came from South Africa and against Australia for using a hand in the scrum. So that's a big psychological boost there for the Springboks, Chris Handy.
It is good, and Noriega looked comfortable, but the weight hadn't come on. And then when Osdurant pushed, he just slightly rose up.
So no score here at Suncorp. The Stormers, the Western Stormers in the Super 12 with his goal kicking. And he's a big lump of a lad. And this one about 8 metres in from the far touchline.
Well, that huge shove from the Springboks, Matt Cobain, couldn't resist getting his hand down to try and get that ball out of the middle of the scrum, picked up by Paddy O'Brien.
The Australians have started with Glenn Panaho at loosehead prop in the last couple of test matches just to stabilise the scrum early on, but they've started with Crowley tonight. It's been one-way traffic so far. Bram van Straten has got it. That's a fine kick by the fly half. The South African fans love it. And it's been a very confident start by the visitors.
Tell you what, a few South African fans here too. A big cheer when this ball went through between the posts.
And very importantly for Van Straten and his half partner Swanepoel, they've got to get their confidence up. The halves didn't play well against the All Blacks, but they've got plenty of touches on the ball early on. They've got confidence running.
Well, apart from just a couple of kicks from the Aussies, they haven't touched the ball so far. Nice shallow kick there from Burke. This time Crowley has it. Taken by Swanepoel. Gregan. Good pass away to Horan. Here's Burke. Taken by Tablanche. 30 metres out from the Springbok goal line. Nathan Gray. Pass was too hard to Paul. Kepu recovers well. 10-metre line, Australian territory. Horan. Backs himself. And offside play from the defensive line.
Well, this is a very kickable penalty for the Wallabies, and certainly David Wilson is indicating they will go for goal. Excellent restart there from the Australians for the kick-off. Crowley, huge run.
Chris, a bit of nerves early on from the Australians. Just a loose pass, just pushed past a support player. But Matthew Burke, 38 metres out now and right in front of the goalpost.
This is one of the reasons why McQueen's brought him back. Latham certainly did the job for Australia, but come World Cup time, these kicks will be vital. And Matthew Burke, probably the most reliable in the Australian ranks at the moment.
354 test points for Matthew Burke, second to Michael Liner. He's only 557 behind Liner. This to level up. It's a good strike. So the goal kickers are on target in the early stages here at Suncorp in Brisbane.
Now this is a part of the game, as we see the replay of the kick by Burke. The kick-off here for the Australians is very important. The All Blacks did struggle at times last week against the Springbok kick-off.
Taken away by Peter Muller. Sloppy play by the Australians there.
Come out, Greg, come out!
So good initiative, but they forced a turnover. Gregan into open territory. Montgomery with a big chase back here. And to Blanche. Nathan Gray coming through with Ben Tune. Knocked ahead there by Dan Crowley, so that's a knock on by Australia on the 10-metre line.
That turnover came through. Excellent work on the ground by Jeremy Paul. As we see back on the 25, Peter Muller down injured.
He doesn't look good with Muller. Still on the ground. There we see him, but great vision from George Gregan. He realised that the South Africans expected to win the recycle. Montgomery was up looking for the attacking play. Gregan went long.
This would be a cruciate ligament injury to Muller, who's just grasping at the back of his leg. What a terrible blow for the South Africans. He's a key man.
Well, Yafi Mulder was ruled out of the game with injury, and this would bring Dion Kaiser onto the field, and probably a reshuffle with Robbie Fleck moving to number 12. He played there a couple of times on the Springbok tour of the UK last year in the midweek games.
Better. Right here.
So Kobus Pasaki, the tight head for South Africa, penalised this time. The referee just saying there, you weren't packing in square.
That's one of the danger aspects in the front row. If you pack in square, everything is self-supporting.
So it's 3-all here at Suncorp. Matthew Burke is about 10 metres in from this broadcast touchline, and Peter Muller still in the hands of the doctor, Dr. Franz Vestier. And there's the incident, and a very nasty descent there to terra firma for Peter Muller.
It definitely looks like knee ligaments.
Yeah, well, that the whole body of Jeremy Paul went across his leg. His foot was trapped as he turned, and then Jeremy Paul's tackle swung his legs across his knee. It's just an agonising injury.
So Matthew Burke looking to put the Wallabies in the lead. He's done it again. He's come into the sides on the strength of his great goal-kicking performance in Melbourne against New Zealand A. So with 7 in a row last week, he stretched it to 9 in succession.
Beautiful kick, and isn't it tragic to see Peter Muller injured? He's fought his way back from some horrific injuries in his rugby career, his senior rugby career, especially one very serious neck injury. Had a tremendous game last week against the All Blacks in defence. And unfortunately, he'll play no further part in this game and probably the season.
Well, Nick, this just continues the horrendous run with injury for the Springboks.
Yeah, and there was no good reason for that. It wasn't as if the guys are faster, bigger, harder. Just an unfortunate fall. The weight of Jeremy Paul, as Chris alluded to, and as Simon said, probably out for the season.
So Dion Kaiser there on the field in the three-quarter line. And let's hope that's not the end of the World Cup campaign for this great and very experienced centre, Peter Muller. So Dion Kaiser on for his third test match. Swanepoel. This is going to disrupt the Springbok three-quarter line. Good driving defence there from David Wilson. Springboks started the match so well. His Venter into Tim Horan. Right round his ankles. Pasaki running strongly to Drotsky. Great support play there from South Africa as Leonard is brought down 15 metres out. Van Straten into Gray.
Hands off, that's it.
South Africa still controlling here.
Tackle, leave it.
Robbie Fleck into first receiver.
Get your hands out, we had a ruck.
And Todai Kefu.
No, it was a ruck. Can't go with your hands.
The referee just saying it was a ruck, so you can't go in and pick up the ball off the ground in a ruck when players are over the ball.
Well, 2 kickoffs to the Wallabies and 2 wins to the Springboks. It's a big problem for them out there right now. Good defence really shut them down here, but under pressure from the kickoff.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, Simon. But Venter, very experienced player, pilfering offside, I thought, at the kickoff, just getting in behind for the tap back. And it's quite obvious. South Africa looking to play through their big back row. Venter, Erasmus and Leonard trying to set up quick ruck ball and going down the short side.
Chris Handy.
Yes, it's just one of those cruel moments in time when things seem to be going for you. And now Brampton Stratton, he has the ability to do what Guffey du Toit couldn't do last week at Dunedin, and that's put the Springboks level.
So this to make it 6-all. It's hit the post. Maybe it could be a try. Advantage here. There was a knock on there by the Australians. Brodsky goes in. Osterrant.
Advantage over.
Big charge.
Come out, tackler, come out.
Swanepoel at first receiver. There's an overlap for South Africa here. And they couldn't hold on to the ball. Erasmus.
Play the knock on, lost it forward.
Yeah, that was a try for all money. They had 4 to, I think, only 2 for the Wallabies. They went for the cutout pass. Erasmus, the flanker, the captain, loitering out wide, just couldn't hang on to the ball. Here's the cutout to Erasmus. He just had to catch and pass, and that would have been a try.
Get in half.
Well, particularly with the slippery Brayton Paulser outside. There's a tight head to South Africa. They're causing big problems in the scrum. It's 8 metres out now from the Wallaby goal line. Osterrant charges in. Swanepoel wants it.
Green scrum, going forward.
Chris, the young Jeremy Paul in the middle of that Australian scrum, he'd know he's in a test match, right?
Well, he does. He's got his arms bound around both props, and he needs them to be strong so that he can be strong. And I tell you what, they're going to need to stand up very quickly because they're sacrificing this young player in the middle. Both props from South Africa really focusing in, and that time, see just that reluctance from Jeremy Paul. He pulled out at the last minute. He knew he wasn't comfortable, and Pardo Noriega's really got to take some responsibility here and start being aggressive and getting in first, making that contact.
And he's got to get nice and low there against Osterrant, which he does. Just held at the back here. Erasmus. And that's obstruction. So using a man as a shield.
I must say, I find that quite amazing. South Africa had the ball controlled. Why even go for a move? They should have put the 8-man shove on.
Yeah, I'm with you, Nick, and really all the pressure off. The Wallabies here need a good clearance from Matthew Burke, which he's got, but they've got to win their line-out as well. They've lost 2 line-outs so far, 2 kickoffs and 1 scrum.
They're just clearly they're trying to set up a driving maul, a rolling maul, picking up at the back, just trying to drive it through the middle of the Australian pack.
Australia sneak it at the front. John Wellborn there. 15 metres from halfway. But certainly some creaks appearing in the Wallaby performance so far. Here's Gregan to Horan. Gray goes to Roth and Burke. Knock on both ways.
2 knock on. First one goal.
So close to coming off. Burke couldn't quite hold on.
Yeah, it really was quite an excellent move from the Australians. Expansive through Horan. Gray, the long cutout. Just an unsympathetic pass to Burke. But the Australians have declared their hand. They're looking to play a wide game.
Yes, running that ball from outside the quarter. And now another major problem here for Van Straten. It's 6-3 Australia. So another scrum here for South Africa. Australia knocking on in midfield, just out from their quarter line. Van Straten is okay.
And the dominance here in the ruck and maul from the South Africans, 18 to the Australians, 5.
Not dissimilar to the start of that centenary test against England, where the English dominated up front in the ruck and maul, especially in the first 20 minutes.
Better scrum there from Australia. They go down at loose heads.
I warned you stay square. Go away, please.
Talking to Paddy O'Brien before the game, he really was focused on this scrum as being a big issue in the game.
Well, it's where South Africa are clearly focused with what they believe is an advantage, and so far that's proving out. And they're quite happy to get bogged down in this phase of play. They haven't got what they'd consider their best on the field. They've probably got their fittest. And so this is playing right into their hands.
Well, the Wallabies haven't seen too much ball so far. They've looked good a few times. They have had possession. They've moved it. But there's Nick Mallett and Alan Solomon's on the right. They must be thrilled with their start by the Springbok team.
South Africa have struggled in the last couple of months in sport generally, and of course against the Australians they'd be desperate, especially watching back home, to get these green guys up today.
Well, his goal-kicking style is a bit like his golf swing. Very good. He's off to play golf at the Gold Coast tomorrow. But his mind's on other things here. This to level the scores. And Grant Bunstrat from the Stormers does it, but you can see he's limping and grimacing in pain. It's 6-all. Just bisecting the uprights. But that one hurt.
6 penalties in total, 3 apiece, 3 for scrums.
So Matthew Burke's restarts have been only travelling 10 or 12 metres. Kefu picked up the crumbs. Big chance here for Australia. Gregan. Horan. Matt Cobain inside the quarter. Here's Dan Herbert. David Wilson and Kefu in support. Matthew Burke. Great hands. Herbert just short. Gregan again. Now Horan. Nathan Gray so close. Desperate defence from Van Straten. Wallabies looking to go wide. There's an overlap. Kefu. Cobain unmarked out wide. Gregan again. Horan. Horan. Tim Horan with sheer strength. In his 71st test has scored his 28th try.
This try all came from a very smart bit of work by Daniel Herbert, keeping the ball in play on the far side. It was just a matter of Gregan and Horan working this Springbok defence. Kefu nearly got there. They cleared the ball here. From here, Horan had a few options out wide. Eventually gets through some ordinary fleck defence to score a vital try.
Well, all the talk since Tim Horan's gone to fly half has been his lack of options in his kicking, and he didn't need it then, and he hasn't used it at all so far in the first half.
Nicky feinted a little pass inside, checked the defence, and then went for the white chalk.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great try from Tim, but a terrific try, as good as you'll see from the Wallabies. About 6 phases of play. Some great players, Simon said. Dan Herbert going across down the short side. A wonderful catch and pass by Matty Burke. That was a great try from the Wallabies.
And it all came from a very aggressive kickoff. And again, excellent play from Kefu.
He's been right on the button so far. This to take Australia out by a converted try. He is caressing the ball tonight with loving care. 3 out of 3 for Matthew Burke. 13, play 6.
Well, here's the try. Fleck came up very fast and left his defensive line there. That really was the key to the defence breaking down. Now, the kickoffs must be better from the Wallabies.
Just watch for Venter loitering offside here. Watch the Springboks in behind.
Advantage, go!
Wallabies wearing black armbands tonight. Warwick Ramsden, president of the ARU from 1963-68, leaving us during the week. Here's Percy Montgomery. He's got brilliant pace. Venter in support. Over halfway. Well, the crowd enjoying the action in this test match. And Leonard's driven back in the tackle. Swanepoel. Erasmus beats the tackle of Gray. Cobain comes in. Venter again to Osderat. Fleck. Loose pass. And a knock on by Pulser, who had a little look. Advantage played here for the Wallabies. Hey, that's a big tackle from Otto.
I wouldn't call that advantage for Timmy Horan. Great tackle, but it'll go back for the scrum. Timmy will know he's been in a hit.
Okay, now Otto does like putting his body on the line, especially against backs.
Loose pass there from Fleck, putting Forster under great pressure, but Otto, who's the most homesick of the Springboks at the moment.
Chris, I think Tim would have preferred not to throw the dummy there.
Yeah, I think he held on just one a bit too long, but the ineptness of the Springboks out wide under pressure is surprising.
Nathan Gray takes on Van Straten just short of halfway. Horan. That's David Giffen over halfway. Good clean out by the Wallabies here. Joe Roffin at first receiver. Loose pass to Kepu. Springboks just stretched around the middle of the ruck at the moment. Now they regroup. George Gregan, lovely dummy to Tune. That's his first touch. Almost to the 10-metre line.
Fire in there, number 11. 17, sorry. Must roll clear of that.
So Dion Kaiser is penalised. He didn't roll clear. And for the first time since 1983, we have 2 black or coloured players in the Springbok Test lineup. So that's a great step forward in the transformation of South African rugby.
Good defence there from Fenter. Gregan dummied the flick back inside, but it went wide. Tune.
I must say I'm impressed the way the Wallabies are mixing it up. They're not just playing wide, but they are putting some balls inside. That's what they've got to do against a great defensive unit like South Africa. You've got to mix your play up. You've got to be unpredictable, and they're doing it well.
So Matthew Burke, Australia's most capped fullback. Roger Gould, now 10 caps behind him. Roger Gould, assistant coach of the American Eagles, who are watching the telecast in Sydney tonight. The Eagles playing the emerging Waratahs at North Sydney Oval, 3:30 next Wednesday. Then they take on Queensland back up here in Brisbane on Saturday. And our overseas broadcasters, Sky New Zealand, Mnet in South Africa, B Sky B, J Sky B, coming to you on the 7 network here in Australia, exclusively live. Burke again. This one is going to be close. It doesn't get any closer. Lost ahead there by Erasmus. He didn't need that.
Went from one to the other. One to the other.
The last Australian scrum did quite well against this ferocious Springbok scrum. They really need a strong one here. Once any back row move, you just can't play back row moves when your scrum's under pressure like it is tonight.
Have a look at the alignment of the backs. If we can get a wide shot.
So Noriega just trying to bore in there, but there's the strength of the Ox, Osderant. Australian scrum in disarray once more.
No, they want it though.
Well, they've declared their hand a little bit, but if we can get a wide shot, all the Australian backs grouped in behind the scrum. No, they're panning out the left now, probably looking. Matty Burke staying on the right, looking maybe for an 8-9. Number 8 picking up and feeding.
That's a better engagement from Australia. But loose ball at the back of the scrum, and it's been pilfered by South Africa. And there's some senseless play from the Wallabies, just diving onto the loose ball, not staying on their feet.
Well, Kefu really focused on that shove, and the ball was left there, and Swanepoel came round and had every right to grab it.
Yeah, the ball just popped out under his foot. As Simon said, Swanepoel onside. The ball was out of the scrum.
So the Wallabies in the lead by 13-6. They've got the only try so far. The South Africans have had some try-scoring opportunities, but the finish has let them down. Mark Adrotsky. That was Otto. His wife Linda watching the telecast back home.
Pulling it down. Right here. Can't pull it down.
That was a maul. The ball was up off the ground. Players in contact from either side. And Australia penalised for taking it down.
Well, Chris, it's right in front of you. That's where they've been dominant, the South Africans, in tight.
They've got to get some more of this type of play, the South Africans. They're working in their scrum, but they're leaving it there. They must have the continuity and the go forward. Drotsky wants it, but it's just breaking down at the back.
Great jump there by David Giffen. Hands all over him. Horan, his tune. Well grasped there by Van Straten. Back it goes to John Wellborn, who breaches 5 metres ahead. Protected here by the Wallaby pack. Here's Kefu. Can't get away from Fenter. Just got him round the collar. Matthew Burke on the right. Percy Montgomery. He's eager to counter-attack in this situation. Nothing on for him there. Burke again inside his quarter. Safety first that time. Spiral torpedo. A big one to the 10-metre line. Gain of nearly 45 metres.
I think we can say that Matthew Burke is back. His goal kicking, his composure on the field tonight has been really great.
Well, the Wallabies just needed that bit of breathing space from Matthew Burke. He's taken it from the spot inside his 22 to the 10-metre line. That's Otto again. Excellent skills from him. Durant was the sweeper. And it's been taken away there by Australia.
And the South Africans didn't enjoy that, I can assure you.
John Wellborn, great win of the ball. He's taken the ground and he's got a few Springbok souvenirs for his trouble. Very aggressive work, excellent strength.
No. Waiting. Hold, engage. Let's go half. Up. Okay, I want you to drop, please. Focus.
So this scrum battle is pretty ferocious, and the honours with the men in green at the moment. Now this is interesting, Chris Handy.
I've now passed the point of no return. You've been done twice, you've been done once. I'm looking very closely. There's no reason for it. The engagement's great. Okay? Let's keep it square. I'm past the point of no return. Understand both captains? Thank you.
Well, you can't be much clearer than that. The referee saying, hey, I'm relying on you two. Stay straight, stay square, don't infringe, or I'll do something a little more serious. He has a yellow card option, but not much else.
Scrum going down on this tight head side for Australia. Van Straten aggressively straight into Tim Horan, who stands his ground. Loose pass there to Erasmus.
Let it go.
The Australians now.
Play the knock on by Green.
Yeah, that's particularly sloppy from South Africa. Winning very good possession, tactics to run it into Tim with their big men. Quick ruck ball and just sloppy feed.
Well, in defence there, I think an Australian player got a hand on the arm of Swanepoel, which forced the bad pass. So that's good spoiling by Australia.
Matty Burke lurking down the short side.
Horan then with Gray. Quick hands from the Wallabies. Daniel Herbert. Horan went into Mollett. So did Kefu. That's lost, though, by the Australians. Crowley looked to be offside there.
Lost forward. Touch judge call. I had it.
Didn't look as though he came from behind the last feet, but it was a knock-on. Lost ahead by the Australians.
Well, the Wallaby backs set up a nice mini-maul out there, and they had it really ready to go, but some very strong South African pressure turned it round.
The old warhorse just feeling a leg at the moment. It's 13-6 to the Wallabies.
Glenn Panaho, the reserve, sitting on the bench, would be looking at this injury to Crowley. He hasn't played a lot of loose head, although this season, this Tri-Nation season, in test matches, he's come on to be the softener-upper before Crowley came in later. But if Crowley goes to the bench, it's a bit of a problem. Crowley's been all over the field tonight, and that belies the struggle that's going on in the scrum. He's been doing all the tidying up. He's been making the tackles. He's got tremendous skills. He's got better and better as he's got older, Dan Crowley, and he just got pinned by the leg and then driven in by the head. Not a comfortable position.
Amazing stat. Tim Horan's had 12 possessions. He hasn't kicked once. He's passed 10 and run it twice.
Here's Brayton Paulson, but not a good kick there. Matthew Burke straight into Swanepoel, showing his strength that time. South Africa penalised. Offside, not behind the last feet.
Horan's had 12 possessions to Van Straten's 5.
I think you can put that down to Simon Swanepoel. The South African scrum half been feeding a lot of the big men. The big forwards of South Africa are in close. That's their tactic. Whereas George Gregan's trying to liberate the backs through Tim.
Well, Michael Byrne, ruckman from the Sydney Swans, is obviously doing a lot right. He's been coaching the Wallabies with their punt kicking and their place kicking. It's been top draw so far. Gregan got it to Horan. Here's Herbert in space. Kaiser got him. Wilson arrives. It's Nathan Gray. Wallabies just outside the quarter. Kefu on the short side. Herbert provides an option. Wellborn. Wilson arrives first. Horan again. Gliding beautifully. Gray. Caught by Swanepoel. Cobain! That would have been his first test try.
You don't get much closer than that. Matt Cobain really following Tim Horan, who was inspired. They expect him to run, but when he gets outside, he's a genius. Wiggling through space. Look at this, shows them the ball, pulls it backwards and forwards, and there, pins his ears back. He was going to have a go. Switches inside to Gray. Cobain was on the point. He nearly gets it free, and the tackle of Tablant spills it.
Try-saving tackle there by Stefan Tablash, a la George Gregan.
Yeah, not quite as physical. Cobain probably should have held onto that ball and scored the try. But just a hand in there, ripped it free, and South Africa now with a pressure-relieving penalty.
Well, penalties piling on from the scrum situation. They can't be happy with this, the Wallabies.
So we're just outside the quarter, and Van Straten with that touch finder, and Nakadrotsky now to throw in. He made his test debut against Argentina in Buenos Aires in '93. Here he is. He's a great survivor in the Springbok team. His 7th season of Test rugby. Taken by Selborne Boom at the front. Erasmus. Just been a little rusty with some of his handling tonight, but inspirational leader.
This is the last thing the Australians want, another scrum. We've had 3 penalties against them from Paddy O'Brien at the scrum.
Waiting. No.
Wallaby front row intent on getting very low.
Hold, engage.
Good engagement from them that time. This is Van Straten to Montgomery. Onto his favoured left boots. Huge kick. Doesn't get the bounce he wanted. Burke in the last line. No angle. Australia has to stay outside the 10 metres. Swanepoel now. Counter-attack from the box. Leonard needed support. Swanepoel short side. Gregan. Ball and all tackle. Sheer strength. 12 from halfway. Erasmus spots a gap. Gets half through it. Durant arrives. Nice pass from the prop forward. Van Straten kicking the ball away though. Australia to relieve here. So an aimless kick has been punished.
When they've got that firepower in close, it is an aimless kick. They can really switch back into driving it close and then getting reset in the back line.
I think this is one of the points of difference between Matt Burke and also Chris Latham at fullback, is that Burke will put the ball into touch upfield and give the line out the chances. Gray, you would rather slam your finger in a car door than to be tackled by him.
Australia jumping early, and that's a free kick against the Australians for coming across the tunnel and being hoisted too early. Leonard, good charge from the number 8 from the Stormers. Case has gone into scrum half here.
Scrum.
Well, that's Swanepoel. 5 from halfway. 13-6 to the Wallabies. Just the one try scored by Tim Horan.
As we close on half-time, South Africa, whilst in their half. Nice attacking situation.
Keep it up.
They'll split their backs. Montgomery down the short side.
Here's Leonard backing himself again into David Wilson and Kefu. He made 7 metres.
It's all pretty simple from the Springboks. One out stuff, not a lot of vision of going wide.
Yeah, go hands off! Hands off!
It's just sitting there for Swanepoel.
Quite happy just to go from scrum to scrum, I think, the box.
Robbie Fleck to Swanepoel. Kaiser got away from Dan Herbert. But they've lost ground here, the box. George Gregan's not going to let his opposite number go.
Isn't he strong? He gets a hand on you and just drags you along the ground, George Gregan.
Cleared by Fenter. Great covering there from Tune, and now Burke. That one's gathered a bit of snow. Was it out on the full? It was. Paul Honus, the touch judge, takes it back to Australia's side of halfway.
Well, they've been needing a bit of snow down at Thredbo at the moment. Not cold enough, but here that ball went as high as the top of the stadium.
South Africans just running out of ideas there, aimlessly kicking the ball away.
So again, Kreno Otto. Mauler's travelled forward 8 metres. It's a good drive here from the box. Leonard now. Back to Vasaki. They've moved it 20 metres upfield, South Africa.
Good mauling by John Wellborn, who went from one player to another as they shifted the ball. And you've really got to keep your body up and your eye on who the ball carrier is. And he really mauled over the top of them each time they transferred it. He transferred his grip. Watch on the side. There he is, Wellborn, looking. Look at the eyes open. Firstly there at 6. Then as they spin off, he goes on to him. The big arm looping over and holding the ball.
13-6 to Australia. Shadows of halftime. We've had a minute of injury time. Again, the Wallaby scrum yields ground, but holds up reasonably well. Matthew Burke pumping it down the touchline. So Swanepoel spoken to there by the referee for some play off the ball.
No need. Silly penalty.
South Africa certainly didn't need that. And Burke's kick 25 metres out.
Yeah, you just see Swanepoel just pulling Gregan to the ground there. As the referee said to Swanepoel, silly penalty. I mean, it's put his team hard on defence as we go into injury time. One final crack again for the Wallabies before half-time.
Great win there for Australia through Giffen, and that's Gray in midfield over the advantage line. Giffen again. Inside the quarter. Advantage being played. Gregan. Horan spots a gap. Beats the first tackle. Jeremy Paul. 15 metres out. Just a matter of seconds before the break. Gregan now. Herberts. Bunt Stratton with a try-saving tackle. Gregan again. They want it out wide. Matthew Burke. Burke is back okay. His 17th test try as Australia out to a 12-point lead.
There's a great try for Australia. As we said, Swanepoel gave the Wallabies one more bite of the cherry before half-time, and they've taken advantage of it. All it was just hanging on to possession, getting over the gain line, that quick recycling of the possession, how quickly that came. And there was always space and numbers out on the right. Burke realised he didn't have to use his support. There was the gap. He was too close to the line. And a great try right on the death of half-time.
It's either the back of Burke or Burke's back. Go you good thing. My co-commentator during the year, Matthew Burke, now doing it the 7-way on the field.
Well, he is a superb athlete. And his first run on test in 11 months is proving very fruitful at the moment. He's kicked 3 from 4. 13 points, his personal tally of Australia's 18.
make it 15 as Australia out to 20 at the break. A 14-point advantage and a killer try right on half-time to Matthew Burke from a silly Springbok mistake. So Australia leading by 2 converted tries here at Suncorp Stadium. We'll be back shortly. But there's the scene here at Suncorp. The crowd is absolutely buzzing because the Wallabies are leading at half-time by 20 points to 6. And with me, Nick Farr-Jones. Well, the guys have looked pretty awesome with the ball in hand. They look very fresh and strong.
Yeah, they certainly do. I mean, they've had a little bit of a break. They're well prepared. I really think, Gordon, as we look at the first half highlights and just numbers, strength there through Kefu going hard, but the numbers were always out in the right. I think, Gordon, just looking at this, a 14-point margin, and the last 15 minutes, wonderful ruck and more ball for Australia. We have a chance to avenge that sort of 40-point deficit that Australia suffered at the hands of the Springboks a couple of years ago in Pretoria.
Well, this was a near thing, wasn't it, for Matt Cobain? Just desperate defence saved the day.
Yeah, it was indeed. I mean, Gray there just holding the ball up. Cobain going hard. Probably should have held onto the ball in 2 hands. But again, could have been another point-scoring opportunity. Matt Burke just before half-time. There you see Dan Herbert going hard. Great control, great hard running, just straight running. And the key to this try was the speed of the recycling of the possession. Burke, great to see him back.
Well, let's have a look at the scoreboard then from the first half. Horan and Burke, the try scorers. Matthew Burke coming back in scintillating fashion here at Suncorp Stadium. Simon, the Wallabies, as we mentioned, look just so strong and fresh here. What have been your impressions of that first 40?
Well, they're playing a lot smarter rugby than the Springboks out there. They've had much less possession, but they've had many more options out there. Scrums under pressure. Line-out's been under pressure at times, but Tim Horan is not kicking the ball. He's working the ball with Gregan, giving him plenty of food for thought out there of the Springbok defence. The Springboks have had plenty of defence, but dropped balls all over the field, especially from Erasmus and out wide.
Yes, well, they paid the penalty for not finishing off in that first half, particularly in that first 15 minutes. Chris Handy, what about the scrum? We knew that the Springbok scrum was stronger. How do you think the Wallabies are holding up?
Well, I think they're doing that good and just holding up. I think Pardo Noriega has got to get his right elbow that's strapped down so that he can use the weight of his shoulder. Otherwise, it's going to be hard in the second half, Gordon.
Well, Chris, you've been mixing with some guys with pretty big shoulders, haven't you?
Well, yeah, I have. We saw the smash him up, bash him up here on the field. But let's now have a look at the world of rubber-tired rugby.
Who said the Dodgem cars were tough? Australia ahead here at half-time by 20 to 6. We'll be back in a few moments. And they're hanging from the rafters here at Suncorp Stadium. There's a packed main grandstand. The Ron McAuliffe stand after the famous rugby league identity. But the Australian Wallabies with their try just before half-time, really hammering in a big nail. A 14-point advantage at the break. Simon Poitevin.
Well, look at what Tim Horan's doing at fly half, just running, attacking. He's got the option to pass or go himself. He's so fast on acceleration. 16 possessions, not too many there for Van Straten. Referees doing a good job out there. 13 penalties, a lot of those in the scrums.
Yes, well, Horan has been very aggressive, Nick Farr-Jones, taking on the defensive line.
Yeah, I must say I'm particularly impressed with the way Tim Horan is playing. Of course, when he first went into that fly half spot, that role a couple of years ago, there were some question marks, but he's had a great game here tonight, as he did against the English a couple of weeks ago. And I must say he's being helped by George Gregan. I think that George Gregan is growing, you know, immensely as a scrum half. His options are terrific. His judgment is excellent. I'd just like to see them maybe look to play a few more back row moves just to get a little bit more variety into their game there.
And Nick, how about Gregan's defence? He is chasing hard there and really clobbering blokes.
Well, Simon, there's no doubt he is the complete player. As I said, a few more back row moves just to really, finish it off as far as his game. But, the halves are playing a great game for the Australians tonight.
It's very, very tough, isn't it, for the South Africans? They've lost Peter Muller. Dion Kaiser has come in. They've had to completely reshuffle their three-quarter line. So they really have the job in front in the second half.
And Anton Leonard only came across during the week, so very disrupted side. They really got to get their act together in the second half.
There's the restart from Van Straten. Back to George Gregan. He's been outstanding in the first half. Kefu almost away from Andre Fenter. And Matthew Burke again.
Well, he's made a sensational return to the Test Arena in the starting lineup. Percy Montgomery follows. Burke's underneath. Montgomery sprinting. Very secure, Matthew Burke. 35 out. Horan. Look how confident the Wallabies are as Tune drives ahead out wide. That's Joe Roth or Nathan Gray.
Come off, Green!
Horan just working the ball inside 10-metre line. It's all ball in hand at the moment from the men in gold. South Africa have forced a turnover. Regan coming round. That's Anton Leonard. Selborne Boom. Now Fleck. Fleck spotted a gap, got through the tackle of Gray. Wrestled to ground though by Dan Crowley. Springboks needing to retain possession here. And they haven't done it. Horan. Great pass back in field to Herbert. 12 from halfway.
That'll do.
In fact, it was Joe Roth, and he's really trying to get involved. I think somebody said at half-time, get into it. And the unsung heroes of the first half, I believe, were the two locks for Australia, Giffen and Wellborn, who've really been looking for work and uplifted their tempo from their past games.
Huge performance here by Tatu Kefu. Watch him. He comes in, cleans this out, gets back on his feet, then provides the ball for the Australians to again attack.
Yeah, thank you.
Watch Kefu here, gets the ball and goes.
Here's Horan again working the switch to Nathan Gray. Regan looking for Horan. Burke follows to Blanchard at 12. Montgomery now away from Burke's tackle, but not Tune. 5 from halfway. Better drive here from the box. That was Erasmus. So Fleck at fly half. Clever grubber. He wants it. Kaiser. He gets it. 3 here against Ben Tune. Tune there first. Has to release. Gregan left his feet there.
Went down. No, you lift your feet. Lift your feet.
When the ball is within the vicinity of the ruck or maul, you cannot go off your feet to go on the ball. Even though it's there to be played and you are onside, you can't dive on it within that immediate vicinity. It comes to the danger laws in rugby, and George Gregan arguing the toss. The referee's been very consistent, Paddy O'Brien.
We're about to see a couple of subs come on. Panaho and Strauss. Panaho might get on before the scrum packs. They're trying to signal across to the linesman here.
Well, the South Africans should be looking for the push over here. Referee just calling it up. Strauss looking to get on. He'd be desperate to get against his old country. Watch him just try and lock up the ball, control it, and go for the push.
That was a good contact from South Africa. You saw a tight head, how leading in is Kobus Fasaki, and he hit Crowley and shifted him back a pace or two. And that's that contact that Australia are missing on the other tight head. Because Osterrand is such a block, 130 kgs of fresh meat, he's difficult to shift back on contact. And that just cuts the impetus of the Australian scrum. Glenn Panaho coming on, strapped up like an Egyptian mummy. And Crowley will come to the sideline, and they will also know that if there's an injury to any one of the front rowers, that Crowley can come back on, because as a prop forward he is able to under the danger laws again, in that you've got to have a prop, so they can rest Crowley and then use him again later if there's an injury.
This can't be easy for Panaho. Coming on fresh, defending a 5-metre scrum.
Now the Boks apply the second shove. Australia's scrum collapses.
Well, Panaho got straight into it, and you could see that the strength of his upper body, the good position of that left arm. He's got it well strapped the elbow. Just watch, he'd mind to be fizzing at 100 miles an hour, concentrating on that spot. Look at his eyeballs. Bang, now reaches up and gets the strength and drives in on that tight head. Look at that for good scrumming.
Yeah, that's a much better scrum from the Wallabies.
See, immediately it makes the Springboks disrupted and puts pressure on their own ball. They'd won the ball, but it was a good focus.
Two New Zealand-born front rowers now in the Wallaby team. Glenn Panaho and Jeremy Paul.
And it's what Jeremy Paul's been looking for, a good mate there. Together they go in and take on that tight head. Panaho again in good position.
The Boks edge Australia scrum backwards, but Australia comes back again and wheels.
Up here. Number 2, stay in there.
So this is a big moment for South Africa. They have to convert this pressure into a possible 7 points.
It is still really good tactics for South Africa. They don't want to go anywhere. They want scrum after scrum. They've got a very good front three. They've got two good locks backing them up and an outstanding back row. So why wouldn't you take it? And they'll just wear the Australians down. This is the best way to take toll on your opposite number, is to get him and grind him into the dirt.
They'll stay here all night, won't they, Simon?
Let's hope not. T and Strauss might want a bit of another option out there, but let's listen to this.
Okay, I know you're new. Listen to my call, stay square, let's go.
I think Paddy O'Brien's got the wrong bloke here. He's telling Glenn Panaho, I've already told all these blokes. Now I should tell you about the rules, but Panaho's been very good and very straight. And Fasaki is a hard nut to crack. But crack he's done.
Swanepoel then. That was an excellent Australian scrum, and the Boks have lost 10 metres. Gregan goes in for it. Well, he wanted that ball because the Australian backs were lined out ready to counter.
Fabulous result. Look at that. A unanimous applause from that bench, and they're hard markers. They're hard to get a clap from.
Geez, Buddha, this is rugby nirvana for you.
Oh, it is, mate. I'm in Valhalla. Go, you good scrum. Love it. I tell you, David Wilson's mother, June, is probably one of the great lovers of front rowers, and she would be chortling about that.
So Gregan's kick coming down for Montgomery and taken brilliantly by Tune. Perfectly weighted kick by Gregan. Horan now, look at the men out wide. Here comes Wilson through the dummy. Joe Roth. Referee rules forward pass.
That Springbok defence closed very quickly on a very promising overlap there for the Wallabies. Ben Tune, how good is this guy? Great concentration, goes to ground, makes the ball available. Wilson, this ball, pretty marginal, I thought.
And Ben Tune's fiancée, Gail Miller, the Australian water polo representative, was on Sports Scene's First to Seven quiz show today and did very well.
No.
So Oz Durant has left the field, the Ox.
And also Kefu off. And Tian Strauss on against his native South Africans. This is what a great moment for him in 19 jersey. Watch for him to crank it up. Remember the effect that he had against the first time he ran on against Ireland.
Kefu's done another very good job in his run on time in the game.
Well, the Australian scrum has certainly weathered the storm, and Panaho has made a big impact since he's come on.
He gets a pat from Jeremy Paul for the work that he's put in on 3 Kobus Fasaki, who is a block. He is a really good, strong prop. But
so no change to the half-time score, 20 plays 6. Here's the scrum on halfway. Nearly 10 minutes gone in the second half.
Stay on.
Swanepoel. Controlled at the back here by Leonard. Hunt Stratton. Robbie Fleck. He made 8 metres. This is where Australia have pilfered a lot of ball at the tackle. Gregan then. Strauss. First touch against his former countryman. He led the Springboks against New Zealand at the House of Pain back in 1994. Horan waiting for it here. Nathan Gray. Back to Herbert. Just caught there by Fenter. David Wilson arrived. Horan again.
Now this is getting a bit predictable. Horan running it all the time, even though we love to see the ball in the hand. The South Africans are just hanging off Horan, knowing that he's going to pass and won't kick, so they're bringing up that flat line. Need a bit of variety from George Gregan from the base maybe to break that up.
Yeah, I think there's probably a few gaps that'll appear in close. The Springboks have been working very hard in the forwards, Chris, and I'd say George should look for a little bit of a snipe soon.
I think it's the All Blacks found the gaps when they stretched the Springboks in the second half, and I think the comeback for the inside pass against them is playing into their hands. I think they should be going out and then straightening and then doubling and going again.
Well, it was 2-on-2 out wide and plenty of space. So Noriega, who played against Oz Durant for the Argentine Pumas, but there's the Australian Brains Trust, Jeff Miller, Rod McQueen, John Eales and David Pembroke on the right and Tim Lane.
It's quite amazing. You wouldn't know that Percy Montgomery, Paulser, Walter Blanche are out there in attack. They just have been hidden by the combat in close.
It's the same with Peter Rousseau, who we rate so highly as a clever and strong runner, and he just looked all at sea like a baby in Dunedin because he didn't get the right sort of ball often enough, and they weren't using him often enough.
Springbok backs go right. Here's Kaiser. Tries to get around Gregan, who takes him ball and all. They've got over the advantage line here. Ollie Lularu. David Giffen, the tackler. Swanepoel again to Montgomery. Caught by Paul. He was going nowhere. Springbok forwards have to run back, and Australia has turned it over again. There's Nathan Gray on his left boots. Race for the ball. Burke is there, so is Blanche. So very good advantage by the referee, Jeremy Paul. 10 metres out. Australia look for their third try. Gregan. Herbert. John Wellborn. Men to burn out wide.
Numbers out right.
Herbert has a crack. Great defence in close from the box. Horan. Caught by Blanche. Australia recycling possession here. Referee playing advantage again. Gregan. Cobain crunched. Blanche again. 5 metres out. Still advantage. Gregan goes in. Horan's waiting.
Leave him!
Gregan being held. Here comes Herbert. Robbie Fleck with a good tackle. And Leonard.
Soft option, that one. That layback pass to Tim Horan. I know they had the ball there, but maybe it could have been used a bit better.
Well, the real problem came going back 3 phases back. The ball had gone wide. They were in the corner.
So desperate defence there from South Africa. But Burke now within handy range for another 3-pointer. Australia lead by 14. It's met 5 times in Brisbane. Australia's won 3, South Africa 2. This is the last test match of the decade here in Brisbane.
Well, the Springboks against the All Blacks in Dunedin turned the ball over 6 times at the Ruck and Mall. Tonight they've done it 4 times.
Matthew Burke has 4 from 5. 2 penalties, 2 conversions. 15 points, his personal tally at the moment. No joy there from the touch judges. Let off South Africa. They breathe again. 20 plays 6.
They let off on the scoreboard, but they've certainly got to be more positive in their play. Really running out of options. And this is the world champions, the team that won the Tri-Nations last year, undefeated in the tournament.
Well, they are missing 8 frontline players here tonight. Many coming back from injury as Tune takes on Kaiser. Tune's been aggressive tonight. Here's Horan. No one out there to support him. Got it away to Gregan. And kick out on the full, so good pressure there from the Australians, who've just gone to sleep a little.
I know Timmy Horan actually has kicked for the first time in this game about 5 minutes ago. But he doesn't mind a punt, old Tim. You'd almost be sure that he'd had a punt not to kick at all. He was faced there by 6 jerseys, and he's still elected to run it.
Well, he's winning the bet then.
Well, he's had 1 kick, but it must be only 1.
Taken by Boom. This is Fenta. Good tackle by Strauss. Leonard goes in. Swanepoel. Drotsky. Caught by his opposite, Jeremy Paul. Australia
contesting here. Van Straten kicking across towards Joe Roff's wing.
Well, again, that's really aimless. There's not many options there for the South Africans. They're not aligned at all in attack. That's a 10-metre advantage gainer, but really you're giving the ball back to the Wallabies.
Well, it was about this time in the game last week against the All Blacks, as we see the South African bench, that the All Blacks said go, and the Springboks opened up, and I'm sure there's a lot in New Zealand waiting and watching this game, especially on the west coast around Greymouth. Martin Menahan, a whole heap of guys there ready for the Wallabies next week at Auckland.
There's Noriega. Gregan back then for Matthew Burke. And he's sure in his touch finder, 10 from halfway. So still no change to that halftime score.
Well, it's a good observation on the All Blacks from last week. The Australians really have to take the sword to the Springboks now. They're going to really make a big impression out there in the rugby world.
Otto's been strong. Erasmus back inside. Selborne Boom. Now it's Ollie LaRue. Some obstruction there by the Springboks on themselves. Here's Gregan. Great little charge from Gregan. Joe Roff. Beautiful pass there to Wilson. Australia's made 25 metres. Gregan again. Horan. Herbert's out wide. So is Gray. He bounced off Kaiser. There's Tian Strauss, and he's driven back in the tackle. Horan's out here on the left. He runs hard and straight, and he's crunched there by Venter. He lost a head. South Africa back in possession. Great defence there by Drotsky and also Andre Venter. A sandwich job. Here's Montgomery out wide. He didn't want that ball to go out.
With a very fast Stefan Tablanche outside of him. It wasn't such a bad option by Montgomery.
Yeah, not a lot of room, but Timmy Horan got absolutely crunched here by Venter. Great tackle, but irrespective of that turnover, anyone would lose that possession in that sort of a hit. The Australians are absolutely full of running. As Simon said, this is the time to put the sword to the South Africans. We owe them 1 or 2 from the last couple of years.
Advantage, Greg.
Lost by Matt Cobain. Ollie LaRue.
Advantage over.
This is Erasmus. Good clean out from Drotsky. Selborne Boom. Crunches in close. South Africa making slow but steady progress at the moment. Here's Fleck. Unpredictable man. Anton Leonard caught by Gregan. They're 10 metres out from the goal line now. Erasmus again. Australian back line. Coming up quickly on Percy Montgomery. Giffen the tackler. Swanepoel. Back for Fleck again. He's the playmaker out there at the moment and proving a bit of a handful. Have they isolated him here?
The word you called isolated, Gordon, is what's typifying Fleck's play. He seems to be getting away from the support.
They've held on to it, Kaiser. Back to Swanepoel, and they're going nowhere at the moment. Here's Leonard now. Good tackle by Gray. Van Straten caught by Wilson. Selborne Boom. Straight into Jeremy Paul. 8 metres out from the Wallaby goal line. Kaiser coughs it up. That's tragic for South Africa.
And just when it mattered, they had a break, everyone was excited, and then just a simple error.
And Tim Horan shows he can kick the ball. This one's gone down to the 10-metre line. Tune follows. Horan with a second bite. So this is Brayton Paulser. He can scoot. Stefan Tablanche. Nathan Gray across. Gray has it. Here's Jeremy Paul. Joe Rock. What a pass
from Paul. All the skills from the young hooker and his Brumbies teammate, Joe Roth, scampers over for his 13th test try.
Well, Nathan Gray back on halfway, the happiest man on the field. Fantastic tackle there onto plunge and then to retrieve the ball. Hit of a forward pass at the breakdown clearance. Across he comes, Gray. Gets to his feet, plays the ball. That's where the ball went again. Looks like Giffen getting it away. And Jeremy Paul, what a pass. Joe Roth shut the gate. The big fella goes in.
Like Tim Horan's tackle and retrieve at Newlands to give David Campese his 50th try. Nathan Gray shows all the skills to Jeremy Paul, who gets the pass inside. And then Joe Roth hits the ball, scoops it in, and like a rat up a drain pipe for the corner. Go, you good thing. Over.
Yeah, great try from the Wallabies. One of the things that should give the Australian supporters sitting at home viewing this match so much comfort about the rest of this season is a tremendous defence from the Wallabies. That try came out of the defence of that team, the Australian team. They must have knocked back 8 or 9 recycled possessions from the South Africans, and it came from their own quarter. Timmy Horan played a little bit of Australian rules, forced them back with Percy Montgomery, but it really came from the wonderful defence, and eventually they got a loose ball out wide from a great tackle, and Joe Roth into the game in the second half, and a great try. Let's see now if Rod McQueen will start to bring on some of his subs and give other guys a game.
So Burke has struck the ball beautifully tonight. His 2 misses have been narrow, and Australia out to 27-6. Bram van Straten with the restart. Australia by 21 points. Their biggest ever margin over the Springboks, 23 points. The 26-3 victory at Cape Town in 1992. Horan goes wide here to Herbert.
Number 20, Mark Connors on for his test debut. What a fantastic performance by him to get to this side.
Here's Horan again. Good pass to Roth. Heaves it downfield. And Percy Montgomery back in the in-goal area.
Good work from the Wallabies there. They were pinned wide, good defence, and that kicked the ball straight down.
Picked up here by Tablanche. And Venter! Horan in front. Pass was forward there to Ollie LaRue.
Ollie LaRue was still there from the previous move. He was standing in the one spot like a traffic cop, or maybe like a traffic island.
Well, he's injured.
He's injured, that's why.
All right.
He's limped off.
I thought it was a roundabout, then I saw him move.
Yeah, they need some fresh legs, the South Africans. They've been over in the UK losing to Wales. They've been down in the deeper south, losing at Carisbrook. They want to get home, these guys, but they've still got over 15 minutes to run. It's been a long tour for this very proud rugby country.
So Billy Mayer, the 31-year-old renowned scrummager, on a tight head here against Panaho. Horan works it to Strauss through Nathan Gray. Strauss driven back in the tackle again. Springboks have been sweating on him.
No, silly.
So Noriega, they're penalised again for diving in. Perfectly summed up by referee O'Brien. Silly.
10.
Well, Peter Hatchwell, who's sick in Durban, South Africa, would be pleased to see this penalty to the Wallabies as it comes to Australia's way, and diving in around. Consistent, the referee. And the Bullfrog would be pleased to know that his tour group is being well looked after. And South African watchers haven't really been treated to great rugby by their team in the last couple of weeks. They would be disappointed, and it's a sad sight to see Robbie Fleck being assisted to the sideline by the crew that really look after the injured players here.
Well, Horan's had so much possession at the night. He has had 34 possessions. He has passed on 26 occasions. Really expansive game.
So Peter Rousseau's on the field. Von Hesslen, the scrum half, is playing out on the wing at the moment in this makeshift South African backline. They are on their knees, trailing by 27-6 with just under 16 to go. There's Swanepoel, got away from Giffen. Australia defending grimly here. That's Billy Mayer. Pretty one-dimensional stuff again from South Africa. Van Straten held up.
Look at that wall of gold, both sides of the ruck.
There's no halfback here. Selborne Boom has to come in. Peter Rousseau with a long pass out to Drotsky, who couldn't hold on. The idea was right.
I just can't believe this, you know, the lack of communication between the team. The empathy that should be there in the great teams. And this ball, it was a great pass. It was the move. It was in front, and Drotsky said, hey, I'm already at full pace. Throw it to my hip, not in front of me.
So George Gregan now just controlled at the back by Strauss. And Burke again, who's been so sound at the back for Australia, takes it outside that danger zone.
Well, very few weaknesses across the whole Wallaby lineup tonight. The only area of real concern has been the scrum and a couple of kickoffs early on, but they've really taken control out there. And possession now is running their way. The South Africans have had 7 knock-ons, 10 last week against the All Blacks. Not a good stat.
Up the back is Fenter. Pinched by Giffen. How many times have we seen him do that? Demoralising win there. Referee playing advantage for the offside.
I must say it's one area that has really impressed me for the Wallabies. A lot of international provincial club teams just look to defend and concede the line-out ball, but the Wallabies, they compete for it. And there you saw them snatch one of the South African throw-ins. Great ball, great competing.
Well, it may have been a tough call there because the Australian player was driven over the line of touch in the maul, but the penalty has gone to Australia, and we're now in South Africa's half.
I'd be looking for quick ball straight from the top here. I'd be pushing it wide now. Yeah, a couple of the big men going into the back line. You see Connors and Strauss out in the back line. Just got to run at the South Africans. They're tired.
Good spoiling there by Andre Fenter, who tackled Gregan. Here's Horan then. Australia chase it. Gray is there, so is Herbert. Montgomery lost it. Noriega. Really gets up ahead of steam. Gregan. Horan. Jim Horan claps it on. Joe Roth, number 2. Did you see the afterburners there from Horan? Australia out to a 26-point lead.
Well, this game of rugby, you need possession to win the games. Giffen gave it to him through a great line-out win about a minute ago, and then they set loose Horan, Roth, Noriega.
Well, I think in the weeks past, Jim Horan has just been tuning up all the patrons that don't think he can play 5'8". He is a genius. He is a great footballer, and it's showing out tonight. His timing as he feints inside, then the pass outside having turned to Blanche was absolute genius.
And Joe Roth glides over for his second try tonight. He's 14th in Test rugby, and he's now up to 98 Test points.
Well, for all those rugby clubs across Australia, from the first to the fifths, and the boys and the girls out there and the school teams, what a fantastic night for Australian rugby. I know we're going internationally, but we haven't had too many wins like this at home in recent times. What a fantastic all-round performance for the Wallabies.
So Burke, 8 metres in from touch. And just sailing outside the left-hand upright, so the margin 26. South Africa's heaviest ever Test defeat occurred last week, 28-0.
Well, there'll be some disappointed people in the Outback Bar in Johannesburg watching this. Never would they think that their team could be as inept as they're showing in final attack tonight. They've worked hard, but at the last minute, it just all goes for naught.
Well, the Australians have the match parcelled up. Now they'll be looking to ram home that advantage as the kick goes out on the full. So some respite there for the Springboks.
But I thought that Outback Bar was full of mainly Aussies there in Johannesburg. But great play from Tim Horan. He, for mine, has been the man of the match. Tremendous play with the ball. Isn't it great to see him knocking back that contract to go and play for one of the British clubs? He can be round for a couple of years yet.
Yes, Bristol, coached by Bob Dwyer, whose daughter Rebecca was married in Sydney today, is Anton Lennertz. Swanepoel, back to Rousseau. Swanepoel again, but there's gold jerseys everywhere. They run up against a solid defensive line tonight. Van Hesselin's pass goes to ground from Van Straten.
They have run up against a solid defence indeed. It's one of the strengths of this Wallaby team. They've got about 9 minutes before the Springboks might be going through 2 matches, 2 spells of 80 minutes without crossing the line. Would have been a long time between world champion South African team wouldn't have scored in 160 minutes of rugby.
Australia's coverage going to England, the 7 Spirit of Rugby coverage, and a lot over there watching. I know Tim Horan's sister Emma, along with a lot of other Aussies down there in Gloucester, would be delighted with this performance. Look at him. Right thumb heavily strapped, and he just came back from that crippling knee injury at Kings Park, Durban in 1994. And look at him. The old head on the young shoulders.
Here's Horan again, working wide to Joe Roth, who sails the ball towards touch. Here's Percy Montgomery. Herbert coming through. On Hesselin, couldn't pick it up. Look at this for Gray. Tian Strauss is there. Flicked it back to Mark Connors. Springboks self-destructing. Gregan. There's an overlap here. Ben Tunes out wide. This is Giffen. Tune says, why didn't you pass it?
So did all of us, Gordon. So did all of us.
And everyone in the crowd from down here are going, Giff, you fool.
Take the blinkers off, son.
Oh, I think it is. I think he has got blinkers on, that headgear. My God. You don't run centre field as a lock. Move it on and then back them up.
It was like point of it on 84. Trying to throw the ball wide to Berg.
Maya Culpa, Maya Culpa, Maya Maxima Culpa.
Mate, we did call you Puerto Venus de Milo for one thing in those early days, the statue without arms.
Hey, listen, mate, you didn't make Eric Rush's World Sevens tie, did you?
So Jeremy Paul, just 10 metres out from the South African goal line.
Stronger with every match, Paul.
That's Mark Connors at the back.
Great leap, what an athlete.
Out wide they go. Ross' pass was a blind one to Tune. Australians really expressing themselves now in the dying stages. Just over 7 to go. Here's Mark Connors. The Boks were offside.
They just have to control his possession and the try should come.
Number 6, offside. Number 6.
No point in taking the kick here. I don't think even the most professional would do so. I think David Wilson will try and be a bit more creative. This is the time to express.
Yeah, this is the time to express. This is the time for mine to bring on the likes of Chris Whittaker as well. Give him a few valuable minutes in the pressure cooker. Test match rugby.
I've got Rod McQueen in front of us here. Go and tell him that, Nick.
Well, I would if the window was open, Pointer.
And maybe Kernsey might like a run as well. I think all the rest of Australia would love to see him get a run. This boy's done so well in the number 2 jersey.
There's David Giffen at the back. Another big leap. Here they come on the short side. Joe Roth. No way through that time. Tian Strauss there to maul it. Back for Gregan. Horan waits. Nathan Gray. Gray caught by Kaiser. Noriega arrives and goes himself.
Stay back, Gray, stay back.
If Australia holds the ball, it's only a matter of time.
Watch your feet. Stay back.
Here's Gregan again. Back to Horan. Terrific defence. They couldn't hold on to the ball.
Forward goal. Yeah, hey, watch the feet. No, didn't mean to do that. I thought the foot down to the ball, please. No, no, no. Ah! I saw exactly.
Well, Andre Fenner fired up. He's been one of the better Springbok players out there tonight. Really has put in.
So it's 32, play 6 here at Suncorp. Just over 5 minutes remaining in this first Tri-Nations match of 99 here in Australia.
And that's 5 valuable minutes for the Wallabies. The South Africans, along with the New Zealand All Blacks, they've been the greats of world rugby over the last century. And, well, Australia only 2 points away from a record margin against South Africa. That would be a great achievement.
Hold and game. Let's go, half. Let's go.
Fed in by Swanepoel.
Pretty rich, George.
Percy Montgomery waiting
right,
just behind the scrum. On his left boot. Matthew Burke. Down on the quarter line now.
What's the bet he'll have a go?
Burke follows. Great offload, but straight to Fenter. That was general play. South Africa now. Can they get a consolation try? Peter Rousseau. Kick and hope. Joe Roth comfortably. They won't get tries playing that way.
Paddy O'Brien just a little late for the call. Joe Roth was saying, don't leave me now. Almost felt jarred.
Joe Roth thought about passing that ball. There were men out wide on the right, but in the end Gregan said no, put it into touch.
He had a big think there and a lot of willing voices as Phil Kearns has a chance to get a few minutes of playing time.
Well, that's great to see Kearnsy out there. He played his comeback test here against England last year. His wife Julie expecting second baby, watching in the stand tonight. Here's Fenter straight into Tian Strauss.
There is absolutely no way through there.
And Phil Kearns on for Jeremy Paul. Got a moment.
They can let it go.
Great to see the old warhorse. There he is.
25 metres from the Wallaby goal line. Montgomery's pass picked up by Rousseau. What can he produce? Tim Horan, the tackler there. Swanepoel now. That's Vasaki. Offside Australia, referee playing advantage. Here's the chance for South Africa. Otto couldn't hold on. Play on, says the referee. To Blanche. Joe Roth got him at the death.
Great tackle, the Wallabies. They've got this game clearly won in the dying moments, but still desperation defence just to hold that line, that try line intact for them. Watch Joe Roth. He went up to Ter Blanche and he put him into touch. So close, but great determination, Roth.
And the touch judge in this corner, Derek Bavan from the Valleys in Wales.
So Phil Kearns to David Giffen, right on the goal line here. South Africa last week held scoreless by New Zealand. The last time they hadn't scored a try before last week was the World Cup final. It could happen for the second week in a row. Matthew Burke on his left foot. Here's Swanepoel to Blanche. This is Erasmus straightening hard. Good tackle by Connors. Van Straten, 3-on-3. Von Hesselin coming through on tune.
Surely Gary Teichmann's credentials as captain couldn't be in question. These have looked like headless chooks today, unfortunately, the Springboks. They've been able to get themselves into positions, but they really have been able to complete. And don't doubt the quantum of this win by the Wallabies. These are the world champions. They won 16 in a row, or 17, I think, under the coaching of Nick Mallett. He is a genius. But this team is slowly being put back together, and he'll need to be quick and do a great job if they're to be the force at the World Cup that we all expect.
So that's Vasaki driving ahead. That's the goal line in front for South Africa. Trotsky goes in. This is Swanepoel. Australia frantic to keep their line intact. Wallaby defence has had all of the answers here tonight at Suncorp Stadium.
Here we go here. Scrum's been good now.
You know, won us a World Cup back in '91. We're only a few months out from another World Cup. And this defence is terrific. The scrum has come good in the second half. The attack has been very thoughtful, very inventive.
Anton Leonard. Horan read it so well.
Let it go.
Still South Africa's ball.
Let it go.
Selborne Boom saving the day. That's Billy Mayer. Back for Swanepoel. Van Straten. Rousseau. Lost backwards. Kearns. Great pass. Herbert. Kaiser's there. Wallabies playing basketball at the moment. 12 from halfway.
Advantage.
Advantage here for South Africa. It's been lost ahead. There's the hooter. We'll still have the scrum.
Well, that's a bit of an anticlimax if it's a South African scrum. The hooter has gone.
Keep the last one up, guys.
Can't imagine that the South Africans will be able to put anything on here. The Wallabies will be keen to keep their line intact, though.
Let's go, Huff.
Wallabies have scored 4 tries to 0. So it's the second biggest losing margin in Test history for the Springboks.
They're coming thick and fast for the Boks.
Let's go, Huff.
This is Erasmus off the base of the scrum. Surrounded. He was lassoed that time.
I thought they would have realised, Gordon, there weren't many gaps down through that middle.
Swanepoel brought to ground. 35 metres out. Fenton now caught by Giffen. Mayer goes in.
Come out, 20, come out.
The hooter has gone for full time. Last throw of the dice here for the Springboks. Rousseau just caught by Noriega. 25 metres to go. Rousseau again. Van Straten. Strauss goes in. Australia pick it up. Lost ahead. This is Kaiser. Back for Swanepoel. Giffen the tackler. It's unrelenting, this defence from the gold team. Can South Africa pierce the defensive line? Quick hands. 2 on 2 to Blanche. And that finally puts their case to rest. The Wallabies have pulverised the Springboks here tonight in Brisbane. 2 tries in each half, all going to this outstanding Australian backline. Joe Roth 2, Burke and Horan also scored tries. Burke 3 conversions and 2 penalties. The final margin 26 points in favour of the Wallabies.
That was a comprehensive display by the Wallabies. As I said a number of times, defence was fantastic. The Springboks now get a break, but what a terrific build-up to next Saturday's game at Eden Park, Auckland. The Wallabies today winning by 26 points against the Springboks. Last week, 28 points to 0 to the New Zealanders. I think this is a terrific Australian team. They're developing in so many ways.
Simon Poitevin.
Matthew Burke, what a fantastic game by yourself and by the Wallabies.
That was a great team effort, I thought, Poito. I think we ran in about 4 or 5 tries, so we got the bonus point. Our display in the first half was okay. We knew we had to come out firing in the second half, and it was a good second half.
Were you so surprised how disrupted the Springboks were in attack?
Yeah, they're a little bit disjointed, but I suppose that comes down to our defence as well. I thought we really attacked them in defence, and we made them put them under pressure in defence, yeah.
Great to see you back. Congratulations for all of Australia.
Good on you, mate. Thank you very much.
Okay, Chris Handy also down on the touchline.
Well, Rassie Erasmus, after last week, it looked like the team was coming together under Nick Mallett. There was some new resolve. What happened tonight?
Oh, well, all I can say is Australia played well. They definitely played better than us, and we can just applaud them and say, well done.
Your scrum went very well, but those last passes again went astray. You had a lot of opportunities, but it just fell apart.
It doesn't help. Your set phases are good, and we can't round it off by scoring tries. And that was our big mistake, and we'll work on that. But certainly, when they get back to South Africa, we'll give them a hard game.
Very well. Good on you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Okay.
Yes, Rassie Erasmus certainly tried very hard as Springbok leader tonight, but the Wallabies have won their 10th Test match in a row to equal the record of the team back in 91-92, coached by Bob Dwyer. Australia 32 has downed South Africa 6, 4 tries to 0. We'll be back to wrap up after the break.